Good morning, year 3 and 4, and welcome to today's lesson. I hope you guys are doing really well and that you are enjoying all of your lessons online. So this morning we are going to be looking at, in your learning packs, it says that we're going to be boxing out the text. However, we're not going to quite do that, so ignore what it says there, and I just want you to do the following. So copy this, which you do have in your learning packs, and we're just going to identify some of the features that are included in this text. Now, some of you may be quite critical of this text, which is good because it is not the best text out there. However, it does provide room for us later on to edit it and improve it. So that's why I've selected to do it in this particular manner. So the first thing that we're going to do is we need to read it. And for you, I would like you to write it down just underneath your learning intention. And obviously, this is after yesterday you would have done a call task. You probably watched that video of the character going to the tomb, and from there you had this text just to help you, give you some ideas, and then for you to actually write them as well, so write a description of what you saw there. So without further ado, we're just going to go in to identify some of the features. Before we do that, it is very important for you to read the text, just to get familiarized with it. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. I'm just going to do the first paragraph, and then we're going to try to identify some of the features that are included here, and we want to obviously get familiarized with those as well. So, starts off, standing a couple of footsteps away from this old bronze-looking tomb, I felt nervous to enter first, in case something mysterious or dangerous is inside. But if I face my fears, I don't know what's in store for me. So that's the first paragraph, and it ends up with an ellipsis. So let's just look at what we have here. So again, we have two paragraphs, so I'm just going to mark the whole section as a paragraph. We call those paragraphs. We're separating our ideas up. So these are my paragraphs. Again, paragraphs, they need to be separated when we're talking about something else, although they are related. If we're having another thought or idea, then we need to separate it into a different paragraph, which is a way to organize our thoughts when we are writing. Now, we are going to now look for different type of adverbials, and there's loads of adverbials here. Now, just a reminder, adverbials, they help to create cohesiveness. Cohesiveness means that it creates links. It helps to link our sentences together and our paragraphs as well. So they're very important to understand what they are, and they usually answer some questions. So they answer when, where, I like to say in what order, how. So we're just going to concentrate on these. So if they answer these questions, then they are most likely going to be an adverb. So that's how my strategy to help me figure out where I can find my adverbial. So we're just going to comb through it, and by combing, I'm just going to scan. I'm not going to read out loud again, but I'm just going to scan to see if I can detect any adverbials in my text. Because again, if I am able to identify them, then it will be a lot easier for me then to understand what they are, and then for me to actually use them in my writing. So this step is incredibly important in our writing process. So I'm just going to go a couple of steps away. So that would be an adverbial, because where? I'm standing a couple a couple of footsteps away. So that would be an adverbial. And we're just going to write adverbial there. A couple of steps, a couple of footsteps away. Let's say to enter. Okay, something here. Inside. Inside again is where. For me. Meanwhile. Adverbial as well. Afterwards, when, looking around, and then this could be also classified as an adverbial, when I heard a huge bang, okay? So I can just write that as well. So these are my adverbials. Sorry that I use a different color here, but hopefully you can see that this is my adverbials. Okay. Now, let's look for prepositions. So prepositions are words that tells us, that indicates where an object is, or something is in space or time. So for example, in the kitchen, in indicates where that object is. For another one would be on the table. On, where is that object? On the table. Before, that would be obviously in time. So these are prepositions, and we're going to try to look at some prepositions here as well, because they do help us to create sentences and make them more cohesive, more rather than just having random thoughts. So from, I'm going to use my red here. So from is an adverbial. Just again, to is another adverbial. Inside would be another adverbial as well. I'm just going to come through. In is another adverbial. Again, it's showing me where something is. Behind. Okay, where? Behind. And I'm sure there are other ones that I have missed there, but these are just some prepositions. So we're just going to use prep for there, and then prep. Again, these are important because obviously they give us more detail about where we are in terms of time or location. Now we're going to go to expanded noun phrases. Now expanded noun phrases is something that we have done quite a bit, and expanded noun phrases, they help us to create more vivid, detailed descriptions. So for example, let's just look at here. Old bronze looking tomb. So if we just were to say away from this tomb, it doesn't really give that much detail. However, if we add some adjectives to describe the detail, to describe the tomb rather, then it gives us more detail about that tomb. So an expanded noun phrase here would be this old, let me just use, I'm going to use the blue for this one. So this old looking tomb. So all of this would be my expanded noun phrase. Again, they're there to help us to create detailed descriptions. And usually there's a easy formula to remember, and it's just usually they have a conjunction or an article. Then you would have an adjective, and then you would have a noun, and that would make it an expanded noun phrase. And obviously you can elaborate and expand as much as you want, and the more you expand, the more detailed the description is going to be. Again, you want to be cautious as to when you're using or how often you use them, because too much detail sometimes can saturate, can make the reader very tired. You don't want to be giving too much detail all the time, just at the right time. So that comes with a lot of practice and a lot of reading as well, which I hope all of you are doing. All right, so we have identified one expanded noun phrase. I'm sure there is another one there. We're just going to stick with that one for now. And then we're just going to go on to the complex sentences. Now, complex sentences are a key to writing. And when we use complex sentences is when we want to add a lot of detail. Because complex sentences are usually a bit longer. They don't necessarily need to be longer, but they're usually longer and they're packed with information. And that's why we use them when we want to add more detail to description, add more detail of an explanation. So they're very good because you can pack lots of information in them. And usually, and this is very technical now, they are composed of a main clause that is in essence it is a sentence that can stand on its own, and it's also composed of a subordinate clause. A subordinate clause has a subordinating conjunction with it, and that cannot stand on its own. It would rely on the main clause for it to become a complete thought. So let's just look through some subordinating clauses or subordinating conjunctions here, and that will give us a hint as to where these may be. If it's a subordinating conjunction, so right away I know that this here will be my subordinating clause. So if I face my fears, that cannot stand on its own. So it needs a main clause to do so, to stand, to be able to make sense. So if I face my fears, I don't know what's in store for me. Now, this is a little bit of an awkward sentence. It's not the best formulated complex sentence out there, and that's why later on we're going to edit this text. However, it does comply with all of the rules to create a complex sentence. So you have a subordinating conjunction right here, and all of this is called a subordinating clause, and then this is my main clause. Okay. Again, you can see how much information has been given there, and that's the purpose of our complex sentences. Now, I would like you to identify as many features as you can here, and we've gone through actually probably most of them, but if you can find some other ones, please highlight them. And I guess I said, I don't want you to box up how we usually do in school. I just want you to identify, or in this case, annotate. So basically you're making notes on your pages, obviously using your ruler, and just keeping nice and tidy. Now, again, if you have any questions in terms of today's learning or the previous learning that you have done, please make sure to email us and pose your questions there. Well, I hope it has been helpful. If you have any questions, please email us, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, you 3 and 4. Bye.